Previously on Foursquare Sports, yours truly said this. Although I am going to say I'm going to the Giants game on Sunday. And for those of you who aren't aware, I have a very big streak going on. For those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, the Giants are 8-0 all time when they go to their games. And they're playing the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. Courtesy of Sammy Myers buying me those Giant tickets for my birthday. And Kevin does not look confident. Sammy Myers bought me tickets to the Giants game this past Sunday when they took on the Dallas Cowboys. And the Giants, even though the Dallas Cowboys are crazy as hell for benching their starters in the second half, the Giants won 34-17 to keep my 9-0 streak alive. Here's my post-game press conference.
It is cold as hell out here, but you want to know what's warm and hot? My streak of Giants games. 9-0 all time at Giants games, and she was responsible for that. Giants are 9-0 all time when I go to the games. Jets, Commanders, freaking Saints, then the Ravens, then the Lions. It's too cold. Then the Eagles and the Bears, then the Commanders again, and now Dallas. 9-0, baby. I'll take it.
The Dallas Cowboys are now on the list. 9-0 when I go to their games. Pretty much a streak that I think is immortal forever. Also, I didn't get this in time, but Kevin did get exactly on point how the Fiesta Bowl is going to be between Miami and Ole Miss. We got a lot to get into. Let's hit the intro. Let's do it.
I'm in control of you.
I don't care.
Thank you. This rant can kill you.
Am I missing something here? Oh, wait, there it is. Guarantee!
Welcome back to Foursquare Sports, episode number 29. This is called simply Immortality. And there's only one reason for that, because 9-0 Giants games, this guy. And I can only take credit for that because I've seen Yankee losses, I've seen Ranger losses, I've seen Knicks losses. I'm not even a Knicks fan. I've seen Nets losses. But 9-0 all time at Giants games in regular season play. Like, that's something that I think will never be topped. Anyways, Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zelickovics, Alec Now with John Walsh. Gentlemen, how are you?
Yes!
I know where this comes from.
No.
Also, go ahead. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Kevin's got that little look on his face.
No,
He's got a lot to say on the
I could be
front.
better, but you can hear from me.
How you feeling, John?
I'm good. I'm ready for tonight's game. I'm ready for NFL football, and I'm wearing all my Seahawks gear, waiting to find out who we're playing next week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the Seahawks are just chilling like a villain all week because they got the bye. They're the number 1 overall seed. Anyway, let's get into it. We're gonna start off with some college football because we had the Fiesta Bowl last night in the college football semifinals, and Ole Miss and Miami. Oh my God, that game was absolutely insane. I gotta say that for everything that's worth, Kevin hit the nail right on the head about the Fiesta Bowl. That it was gonna be a tight game. That Ole Miss was gonna fight like hell. They did fight like hell. Trinidad Chambliss had a phenomenal performance yet again, but Carson Beck pulled it off, and Miami is moving on. Although on the last play, a pass interference penalty was not called in the end zone. Had that been called, there would have been an untimed play, and Ole Miss would have gotten another chance. But you can't take away from Miami. Again, not being heavily considered to make the final at-large bid. The final at-large bid, in the debate with Notre Dame, got the at-large bid, beat Texas A&M, beat the defending champs Ohio State, and now they get past Ole Miss. And now they're heading on to try to win their 6th overall national championship. By comparison, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Indiana have 0 national championships combined. And Carson Beck, the absolute redemption story. Because if you remember, he was a hot commodity in Georgia for once upon a time, and then he was injured and he couldn't make the Sugar Bowl last year. They put their bags in Gunnar Stockton's basket, and then Carson Beck left Georgia, transferred to Miami, and he's having the run of his life. And Kevin, I've been saying that you're probably like the secret Hurricanes fan that we didn't know of. What is going on with this team? And I think,
I mean, this team is, like you said, they've been having like the run of their life so far in their college history. I mean, like the last time we know that we talked about this Miami team, they're the only team out of these Final Four that had championship experience back in 2001. But this team, especially with Carson Beck at the helm, is like just different. I mean, me and John saw it from the very beginning. I mean, Mark Fletcher is a damn good running back. Carson Beck has the championship experience with Georgia. He has the playoff mentality. He has the pieces around him. You got Keelan Marion, Malachi Toney, who had 2 great games. CJ Daniels, Elijah Lofton, they all very contributed from the get-go. And I think that Mario Cristobal has done a damn that it now currently is. And this is one pick that the committee did get right, and they're not going to be it's not going to be controversial like it was Notre Dame. This proves to you that they did get that pick right. So Miami right now, they're just playing with fire, and they're going to continue cooking because right now they're on their way to an Natty.
And they're playing with house money. They absolutely have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
We didn't think Miami would be in this position at all, and the committee got the pick right. John?
Miami was one of the first teams I mentioned at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
the weirdest part is they didn't win the ACC championship, and they were the only ACC team to actually get into the playoff.
Right.
The other weird thing is, and I remember talking about this at the beginning of the season. You just did a little 1-year bio on Carson Beck. Well, the quarterback at Miami before Beck is now the Heisman Trophy this year in Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. So it's a really, really interesting roundabout way to get here. And if Indiana wins, it's going to be the old quarterback versus the current quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes.
That's something that I literally just thought about as you were talking. I couldn't believe that. Yes, Fernando Mendoza did play at the University of Miami, and then he transferred to Indiana, won the Heisman Trophy, and Indiana is taking on the Oregon Ducks in their college football semifinal. Winner of that will face Miami in the championship in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. So that would be amazing if it's Indiana versus Miami. Like, I feel like it'd be a movie almost.
Miami is at home, but they're wearing their away team uniform. It'll be really, really fun. They're all whites.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alec, I want to get to you now for your opinion. So this was a classic game, and Trinidad Chambliss, you mentioned it before we came on the air, was denied his 6th year of eligibility. I know he did not come out on top in this one, unlike the Georgia game, but even though he got denied the 6th year of eligibility, do you think he'll be a hot commodity come the NFL draft?
That's a wait and see. But so many of the Rebel stars, they made the big plays, including him, throwing for 277 yards, a touchdown. He used a 19-yard scramble to set up Ole Miss's last go-ahead touchdown. You look at stars like Kewan Lacey, rushing for 103 yards and just 11 carries. Re-entered the game after his hamstring injury, and he ground out tough yards. DeJohn Stribling, Harrison Wallace III. They combined for 9 catches, 117 yards. Caden Lee came up big as well. Chambliss is going to be a hot commodity. Now that he got denied his 6th year of eligibility, I think there's now only one path forward, the draft. Where he's going to end up is anyone's guess. But his intrigue is now going to be under a microscope because of his performance in the CFP, with Ole Miss going through a year of turmoil with Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding coaching his team to the national semifinal up against Miami. No shame to Ole Miss in any way. And yes, going that go-ahead touchdown, they did leave too much time on the board for Miami to exercise that legendary drive from Carson Beck.
Yeah.
So one could have wondered about what would have been if they called pass interference. Yet with Hail Mary plays, it's always people banging with one another. So it was not clear in there who initiated the contact first. But either way, it was a 50-50 call. Let them all play it out. But either way, Chambliss, wherever he goes in the draft, is anyone's guess.
And I think it kind of adds to the quarterback class this year just a little bit. I know we've said it before. The quarterback class this year isn't particularly appealing to most NFL draft scouts. But, I mean, outside of Fernando Mendoza, obviously he's going to be the one that people are looking at. But, Ty Simpson declared. Dante Moore is going to declare. And now Trinidad Chambliss is going to declare. And then there are going to be other quarterbacks out there that might not be as enticing to draft.
Garrett Nussmeier, for example.
Yeah, the LSU quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the top three quarterbacks are in these playoffs. I think you're going to get probably Dante. It'll probably be day one. Chambliss might be day one. The three teams that need quarterbacks are Miami and Pittsburgh, and I think if Mendoza goes to the Raiders, then they're picking the best of those two.
And the Jets do have the second overall pick, and there have been rumblings that Dante Moore is probably going to be who they're eyeing. We could talk about the Jets as much as we want. Go ahead, Alec.
Who knows? No matter where they go, feel that the Jets situation is unique. They could either draft a QB or trade for a disgruntled QB. We don't know just yet.
Now, keep in mind of all the draft capital the Jets have. They have 3 first-round draft picks off the Sauce Gardner and Quinton Williams trade. So they get a high draft choice, and they get to keep the capital that they got. So the Jets are obviously in good position to make an impact in the draft. The question is, can they use those picks wisely? That's the main question with them.
Right.
Yeah,
if I were the Jets, I would use my first pick, the number 2, trade away my other 2 for quarterback this year, and draft one next year.
Well,
that's understandable.
Yeah, it's all about Woody Johnson, though.
Year.
Yeah, Arch Manning is eligible next year. That's a good point. It's all about whether or not Woody Johnson and the Jets can actually draft appropriately, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, we know about that.
Oh my God, I can go on and on. My father's a diehard Jets fan, and I can tell you all the mishaps the Jets have had over the last 50 years plus. Okay, so
DAS solutions, and he can't fix the Jets.
Nope. So we got Indiana, Oregon tonight. Big Ten battle. Last time these two teams played, it was a 10-point game. Indiana won. It was the win that probably set their season up for success at this point, because it was that Oregon game where they took off. But now, in a bowl game situation, semifinal, national championship on the line, higher stakes, this is probably going to be a different feel to this one. Oregon has a fast-paced offense, and Dante Moore has been electric for the most part this year. And then Fernando Mendoza, that Rose Bowl performance is just on one of the most infamous performances in Alabama history, because it was one of the worst performances that Alabama's ever had in a bowl game. But Fernando is on a tear this year. He's continuing to do that. He did it at the Rose Bowl, the biggest stage in bowl game history. And now they face off again. And I think that this is going to be a really good game. I think I take the over 100%. I think it's probably over 50, 60 points. I got to look at the over right now. But these two offenses can score. It's over 49.5. Easy over. Easy over. But I think both these defenses are going to be put to the test. Indiana's defense has been good at times when they need to be. The Penn State game wasn't their performance, but they shined against Alabama. They shined against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. And Fernando Mendoza can make the big plays when he needs to. So Kurt Signetti has a big challenge on his hands, and Dan Lanning has an explosive offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams perform. But obviously, I didn't anticipate that we were going to have a semifinal tonight, but here we are. John, who wins the Peach Bowl? Oregon?
Now, hold on. Didn't we do predictions last week?
Oh, yeah, we did. I think I just forgot the fact that we had another semifinal. But we could obviously change our minds. Obviously, a week goes by really quickly. So just to verify, John, who do you got?
I honestly like the Ducks in this game. I think The Hoosiers are a really good team. I think they have a complete team, but I don't think their defense is as stout as it needs to be to withstand all of the weapons that Oregon has. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. We all are saying that it's going to go over, so there's going to be a lot of points.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like last night. It's going to be, who can make that one stop and then turn around and go down the field and score last.
Okay. Alec, thoughts?
All right, let's not get twisted. Oregon has an explosive team with an explosive offense, one of the best defenses in the country. Indiana has had a complete turnaround of their entire football program with one hire and one hire early. Not only that's Kurt Signetti. Anyone who's worked with him knows the phrase production over potential, which is a statement for how he evaluates things. And there are other famous quotes in which he picks his players, football specific, how they go with things and when you meet them. And behind him, Indiana is still the top team in the nation with Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. Indiana has been on a roll, and downing the national champions means that Ohio State's loss to Miami is Indiana's game.
Yeah.
And it should continue to keep going. Oregon, they did beat Texas Tech in the CFP quarterfinal. Yet they didn't look all that impressive in doing so. It was more the defense that did the heavy work. The offense was slowed down by Texas Tech's stout defense. The loss that game spoke more about Texas Tech and the state of their offense more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Indiana in this one, even though they're gonna be tested by Oregon's defense. But Indiana should handle this test as this one, and they'll go over to the national championship, and we'll have the national championship of the two teams of destiny.
Oh my God, the word destiny I think is gold if we do get Indiana and Miami. All right, Kevin, coming to you.
Yeah, I agree with multiple points both John and Alex said. I do think that Oregon is going to be a real challenge for Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers, simply because of the fact that, like we all said it, Oregon has had one of the top offenses like in the country, and I think they're going to continue to have that against Indiana. But Indiana has proven that they can have a great stout defense when need to against higher ranked opponents. You saw what they did against Ohio State. And you saw exactly what they did against the other opponents, Texas Tech. Oh, not Texas Tech, excuse me. Alabama, you saw what they did against them. And I think this is a different team that they're versing Oregon. Oregon, their defense could surprise, and they could shut Indiana down. But I think the difference is going to be, like John said, who's going to make that timely play, whether it be like in the last few minutes of the game, whether it's that one defensive stop, whether one team misses a field goal, because a lot of these college kickers are missing field goals. We saw a couple last night in that almost missed Miami game. I think it really happened. So I would say that I think that Indiana has a slight edge simply because of Mendoza. I do still believe in him, and they didn't just give him the Heisman for no reason. Although, again, I do expect that this Oregon offense to not go down quietly, and for them to keep pace up with the Hoosiers and bring it down to maybe the final couple minutes of the game. And I think Indiana wins by a last-second field goal.
I like that.
Same here.
I think what really stands out to me about this is not only that, it's a conference matchup. These two teams have familiarity with one another. And I think that's going to make things interesting with how these two teams learned from that previous contest at the midway point of the year. And I think that it definitely could come down to the last play. It could come down to a game-winning field goal, like Kevin said. I think that both these teams have a lot of really good things going for them, both offensively and defensively. Oregon's defense, people don't really talk about Oregon's defense because their offense is so explosive. But, again, Alex said the word, and I'm going to say it again. Destiny. And I think destiny will fulfill itself. John?
I want us to maybe talk about it for about 2 minutes, because this is historic, at least in my mind. You're talking about destiny. We have the first college playoff in history where there's no SEC teams going down to the semifinals.
Right.
So now we have an ACC team. We had and now probably one team from the Big Ten. So the first time in history, no SEC teams. And I'm making fun of it. I'm memeing the SEC and the college playoff committee by saying that they're going to try and get another team in next year, no matter what.
Yeah.
But forcing Alabama into the playoff didn't do the SEC any good this year.
It did not. It really did not. I mean,
I hate to be the nerd meme in here, though Ole Miss is technically an SEC team, but and again, well, down goes the SEC. Whatever floats the boat for the NCAA and putting Alabama in there. Well, all the power to them, but it did not work that well. They're not the same team as they once were. But knowing that the alternative is BYU, do not say Notre Dame. It's whatever.
I think one thing I will say about this, the SEC is usually the powerhouse conference in a lot of athletics, but I feel like the Big Ten has really come a long way in football. It's not even just Ohio State winning the Natty last year. This year, we talk about Indiana being so good. I mean, it was a 3-team conference this year. I mean, the Big Ten as a whole is not completely strong, but it's a competitive conference. I will say that. Like prior to this year, Penn State was really freaking good, and then they fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to remember, like, this is a good conference to have a foundation. And these 3 teams, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, like, they all excelled really well. And, it's amazing. Ohio State going down, had Miami won, we would have had three of the Final Four be Big Ten teams. I think.
And then one last thing. I know Kevin watched the whole thing. I don't know about either of you guys, but it really, really felt like Kirk Herbstreit got on his soapbox and got pretty preachy at the end of that game last night when he was talking about the college portal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
For sure he did, yeah. He loves that.
It's just amazing. And honestly, Kirk Herbstreit, former Ohio State alum, former quarterback at Ohio State, or the Ohio State, as they say.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. So we got the Peach Bowl tonight at 7:30. By the time that comes on, we'll be halfway through the show at the time we're recording this. But we got to get into a little bit of something different. And my God, Kevin says we're going to get into some Major League Baseball. And the reason why is because the Chicago Cubs are making some moves. They got a pitcher from the Marlins, Edward Cabrera, to fill in that rotation. He's going to be a stud. If you've looked at Edward Cabrera's stats, he's an up-and-coming young pitcher that I think will definitely help the Cubs rotation. The Cubs rotation last year was, so-and-so. With the exception of Shota Imanaga, they don't have a lot of great stars. Like Jameson Taillon was part of their rotation. He's Matthew Boyd. I mean, come on now. I mean, but the Cubs definitely made an upgrade. And also, Kazuma Okamoto also signed with the Blue Jays, which is a 4-year, $60 million deal. But we're still waiting on Kyle Tucker. We're still waiting on Cody Bellinger. And now Bo Bichette's name is being thrown out there because getting Kazuma Okamoto is going to be interesting as to how the Blue Jays proceed. Because they got Okamoto, that's great, an infielder. But where does this leave Bo Bichette? So you got those 3 big stars that are still looking for a new home for 2026. And I think 2 of those people that I just mentioned are Scott Boras clients. So it's a pain in the ass being a Scott Boras client. Kevin, I'm going to come to you. Where does this leave Bo Bichette now that Okamoto's a Blue Jay?
So quick correction, Cody Bellinger is the only one of those 3 that's a Scott Boras client.
Yeah.
So for Bo Bichette, I mean, it's interesting. You see reports that like the Blue Jays are still interested in Bichette as well as Kyle Tucker. You also see other reports saying that like with the Okamoto acquisition, like you said, they intend to use him as like a super utility piece off the bench. But keep in mind, Okamoto can play both first base and third base. First base is Vladdy's spot, so that's occupied. So third base can be where Okamoto slides in. And how much do they really trust guys at second and short? Are they going to continue to keep Bo Bichette there? I feel like you can get – people are saying like you can either get one or the other. You can't get both of Bichette and Tucker because Tucker is going to cost a pretty penny as well as Bo Bichette. So – and now with Bo Bichette telling teams that he's more open to playing second base, a position that he hasn't played in his entire career until this past World Series where he did pretty good. So I feel like that might interest teams a bit. but I just don't know what direction the Blue Jays want to go. Do they want to keep the same philosophy that they have, which is a contact first team, and then get on base more? If so, just bring Bo Bichette back. If not, if you want to really give opposing pitchers like a big nightmare, you got to get to Kyle Tucker, because that top three, if you order it right, it's George Springer, Kyle Tucker, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Right, left, right. That's a nightmare for opposing pitchers. They're going to do what the Dodgers did. Remember, it's proven that if you have a good top three in your lineup, that you can go pretty far and be a real postseason threat. The Dodgers have done it. They have Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman at the top. And if the Blue Jays get Kyle Tucker, they could do the same thing by getting Springer, Tucker, and Vlad in there. So, in my opinion, I think they should be going after Kyle Tucker. But I think that Blue Jays fans, especially Armchair, he said he'd much rather want Bo back. But we'll see what happens.
It's the great mystery. I know Kyle Tucker's been linked to the Blue Jays for quite some time, and I thought that this Okamoto thing could throw a wrench into those plans. I mean, the Blue Jays do have momentum going in. They lost the World Series, but they do have some mojo. Like, okay, maybe we could do this. Maybe we do have something here. Maybe we can create something. And the Cody Bellinger thing, I know the Yankees were like, they gave him a $300 million offer, and apparently he wants 7 years. And again, Scott Boras being Scott Boras, it's just going to be more and more complicated. It's just like, why? And I will say this, Kyle Tucker is going to be the commodity that I think a lot of people want, but I think I can see Tucker going to the Blue Jays. But then again, you'd have to pay a pretty penny for him because he is Kyle Tucker. I know Casey Close is his manager's name, his agent?
Yeah.
Casey Close. So I think that Tucker, if you're going to get him, it's not going to be a pain. But I feel like homegrown people like Bo Bichette, you want to see him return to Toronto. But again, you can't have both. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So I think Kyle Tucker, I don't see him going to the Dodgers. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I know the Dodgers are linked to him, and I know they're linked to Cody because Cody used to be a Dodger, and the Dodgers have all the money you want because of deferred payments. But it's a great mystery. I don't even know why it's taking this long, apart from the Scott Boras factor of it all. Alec, what's going on here?
Well, you mentioned the Dodgers and how they're linked to him. The Dodgers also have one of the best prospect pools in the entire MLB, if not the best prospect pool. The Blue Jays look like a match made in heaven for Kyle Tucker and all. But it would be nice to see Bo Bichette being brought back to the team. But when bringing in Kazuma Okamoto to have him play third base, you can easily slide Ernie Clement over to second base, where he has played there before, and Andres Jimenez to shortstop, where he thrived there and actually played better defense at shortstop than Bo Bichette throughout the course of the season. The Blue Jays pride themselves as a two-way team. They can kill you both offensively and defensively. They can kill you on both sides of the baseball. They're a team that's unfinished business, and they know the stakes. You bring in Dylan Cease to be the number 2 behind Kevin Gausman. All right, good work. Cody Ponce on a 3-year deal. Okay, there you go. Beef up the relief corps with Tyler Rogers and his low-angle ogle throws. That's going to confuse pitchers when you compare him and Trey Savage with one another, because Savage is a high ball thrower. Rogers is a side armor. But Kyle Tucker could be the final piece to the puzzle. You have him inserted at right field, then you're in good hands. You could see more of Addison Barger platooning with Okamoto at third base, because Barger can play either both at third base and right field. He's played both positions. I was thinking at left field and see where they would go with Stephen Kwan, but going after Kyle Tucker, that would make things a much easier side for relief, especially when you consider that the platoon partnership at left field between Davis Schneider and Nathan Lucas.
It works out. I do like Stephen Kwan as a possibility acquisition, because Stephen Kwan, you talk about contact hitters. He's a contact hitter. His batting average is always going to be in the 300s. He's always going to get on base. He's a threat to steal. He's one of those guys that any team would like to have to get off to a good start, especially if you put him in the leadoff spot. So
that's where he thrived at Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland loved that. They had the luxury of having a guy like Stephen Kwan to set up other players. But Kwan,
one of the lowest strikeout rates too.
Lowest strikeout rate, yeah. That's a good point. And real quick on the Yankee side of things, the reason why Cody Bellinger could be an interesting story is because there are rumblings that a certain prospect that has gotten a lot of Yankee attention named Spencer David Mann Jones. And David Mann is not his middle name. Believe me, it's not his middle name. But Spencer Jones is most likely to be called up this year. The amount of promise and expectations surrounding this kid is absolutely insane. And if you don't get Cody, he could play in the outfield and he could play a little bit of infield. But Kevin, where do you see Spencer Jones doing most likely this year?
Again, it's a very interesting case because like you've heard his name and Jason Dominguez's name in possible trade scenarios. So I still don't know if the Yankees, they said they wanted to acquire a starting pitcher mostly via trade. So are they going to take a chance on Spencer Jones and call him up this year? Or are they going to bank on the fact of his value that he's providing in minors and hopefully that translates well into the majors and then use his value now to acquire a starting pitcher that you can use as to fill starter rotation depth? Because keep in mind, no Garrett Cole, no Carlos Rodon to start. Because keep in mind, both are hurt. And Clark Schmidt doesn't come back like in the middle of the season. So you need that starting pitching depth. And like Yankees are looking at Freddie Peralta, who's going to be a one-year rental, Mackenzie Gore, who's on 2 years. They whiffed on Edward Cabrera. They were in talks. They were linked together. And then there's like it's really thin of like the trade market for starting pitchers. So like for Spencer Jones, I feel like the Yankees are going to trade one of either him or Jason Dominguez because I can't imagine that they keep both. Because if they truly believe in Jason Dominguez, the only reason I could see them trading Jason Dominguez is because they don't trust his ability to hit against lefties because he's not a good righty hitter when he's hitting righty, and he's a par left fielder. So, and that's a big detriment to the team. Everything else is good about him. He can hit righties. He has terrific speed, great athleticism, but he's inexperienced at left field. He's a natural center fielder, and we've got Trent Grisham at center field, so that's not going to work. So, and then they tried to get him to play winter ball, and from last I looked at it, like his stats in winter ball are not good. So, I think it's because they want him solely to hit righty, and he's not good righty. I'm sorry, he's not. So are you really going to rely on an up-and-coming prospect who was shining in the minor leagues last year, still has to cut down his strikeouts? So I'm wondering if they keep him still in the minor leagues or if they use one of him or Dominguez to trade for a starting pitcher and then just let Dominguez ride out pending on if they can retain Cody Bellinger, which, by the way, I think it's ridiculous that the news came out recently that apparently the Yankees offered him upwards of $30 million AAV. And I'm like, that is more than fair. That offer that the Yankees made, more than fair. Because keep in mind, Aaron Judge makes $40 million AAV per year. And if Boris and Bellinger's camp want at least 7 years, move on. I'm sorry. Move on. We've made 2 formal offers to you. And from the looks of it and the reports of it, it doesn't seem like anybody else wants to offer you that much. It doesn't seem like any other team wants to take a chance on a guy who's 30 years old and was going to get a 7-year contract till he's 37, doesn't have the best contact in the world with Kyle Tucker there, 3 years younger. Why aren't the Yankees interested in him? It makes no sense. Because wasn't Kyle Tucker the backup plan originally? And now it's Bo Bichette the backup plan. So what is the plan? If you're not going to get Bellinger back, then what's the offseason?
Seriously.
What is it?
Like, I feel like the Yankees struggle to pivot. They struggle to have a plan B. And this has been the case with Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman for a little bit. Like, they're so set on getting one thing done, and they want to get it done, and then they don't get it done. It's like, okay, we'll just kind of do whatever now. We'll lollygag for the rest of the offseason. That's pretty much what they do. And I hate to say that because I'm a Yankees fan, but it's what they do. Juan Soto didn't go their way. Okay, we're not going to get a major hitter then. But, hey, we'll get Max Fried. And then, hey, listen, you mentioned Jason Dominguez's inexperience in the outfield. They put Alex Verdugo in left field back in 2024 because Dominguez could not play left field to save his life. It was just one of those things where it's like he's good in some areas. Better. Yeah. But you want to know his biggest problem? Dominguez, I don't think, is polished. He's good at some things, but not everything that he should be. So that's his biggest problem.
Also,
And
real quick on Cody Bellinger, by the way, real quick.
sure,
Real quick.
sure.
I just want to say this real quick. So with Cody Bellinger and those reported offers, and I can't fathom how stupid it is that the Yankees don't pivot to Kyle Tucker, because you look at a guy like Kyle Tucker. Yet the Yankees have proven 1 year of Juan Soto will get you to World Series. So you know what that tells me? That tells me that if you put a lefty superstar in front of Aaron Judge, regardless of the rest of the guys on the team, you're going to make the World Series. Keep in mind in that Soto, when they had Soto that year, they had Alex Verdugo, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Volpe, who's still a trash heap. All those guys were on the same team. It didn't matter because you had Soto and Judge in tandem. If you have Tucker and Judge, you're gonna get back there. So I don't know why Cashman and Steinbrenner don't see that correlation. Why are we so hell-bent on Cody Bellinger for his versatility? Fine, I get the versatility part. But if he's trying to gouge the money out of you for all that you're worth, then get out of here. Because it's Scott Boras nonsense. I'm sorry. Get out of here. Go invest that money, because now it's proven that the Yankees are willing to go over $300 million in their payroll, and they said they weren't. Go get Tucker.
Yeah, and this wasn't the first time they dealt with a Scott Boras client. Keep in mind, when Juan Soto was negotiating with the Yankees, Soto was a Scott Boras client too, and the prices kept yakking up and jacking up and jacking up and jacking up. It got to the point where Cashman and Hal Steinberg couldn't afford him. They couldn't financially afford him. It was one of those things. It was ridiculous. So
ridiculous.
Don't deal with Scott Boras anymore, Yankees. Just don't deal with him anymore. Seriously, just get away from him.
Why is he an agent these days?
Oh God, I tell you,
beats me because he gets his players played. That's why.
Seriously, he gets top dollar for all his guys. Okay. Now, I know we have the NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge, but before we actually get into actual NFL talk, NFL Playoff Bracket talk, we are going to get into some NFL headlines, which means that we're going to get into the Black Monday firings that happened. So there were 8 vacancies that were reported across the NFL. 2 of them were fired during the season. That'd be Brian Dable, Brian Callahan for the Titans and Giants, respectively. There were 6 head coaching firings, and we got 3 panelists that I share the screen with. So we're going to give you each 2 that we're going to go over. We're going to start off with the first firing that happened really after week 18. That was that Raheem Morris was fired by the Atlanta Falcons after 2 seasons. He had a 16-18 record. This is his second stint with Atlanta. When he first got the job back in Atlanta, people were excited about him because of the opportunity he got to be a leader of men once again. And the dogs are being let out because they were not happy about Raheem Morris being fired. Anyway, John, when it comes to Raheem Morris, what didn't work in Atlanta that got him fired after 2 years?
Well, this was the most bipolar I've ever seen the Falcons as a team. They beat the Rams, but then lose to the Jets. And they ended up being the linchpin for the division for somebody else.
Correct.
And I think that's what it came down to. I didn't see Raheem Morris being very creative as far as how the team plays were written, and that came down to him. There were a lot of games that they should have just gone with Bijan Robinson, and that didn't happen. So a lot of the decisions that were made as far as play calling and personnel usage were on his shoulders. And with all of the talent that was on that team, I didn't see the defense stand up to its full potential till that Rams game, honestly. And the same for the offense. They were almost better with Kirk Cousins the last couple of games that he played than they were with Penix before he got hurt. So a lot of these personnel decisions just weren't the right call. So it was time to go into the bag and start over.
Yeah, it's gonna be now. Who do you think gets the Falcons job?
It's easy for me. After finding out what John Harbaugh's requirements are, I think he makes the most sense at Atlanta.
That's an interesting spot for him. I that's gonna be tough for me to imagine him in Atlanta, but we'll see how that works out when this cycle happens. Anyway, we're gonna get to the next firing, and this is all Alex since it's in the AFC North. Kevin Stefanski was fired after 6 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Took the Browns to the playoffs on 2 occasions, which is more than what the Browns had done playoff wise since 99 2019 when they returned to Cleveland. So Stefanski had a really good defense. Myles Garrett set the single season sack record. He had to take the extra game to do it, but he did anyway. The Shador Sanders of it all and the Deshaun Watson trade and the contract that they signed with Deshaun, I think is probably a big part of it. But what else do you think led to Kevin Stefanski's demise in Cleveland, Alec?
I want to correct you on some things that the whole thing about the Deshaun Watson trade and the contract, that's more on Andrew Berry and the Browns being hell-bent on keeping him around on the team.
Okay.
But don't let that second Coach of the Year award fool you. That looks more deceiving, and 2023 was more because of Jim Schwartz, if anything. Yes, the Browns made the playoffs that year, but Coach of the Year should have been to D'Amico Ryans, and I still stand by it to this very day. That said, Stefanski still orchestrated the Browns' first playoff appearance in 17 years in 2020, winning their first playoff game in this iteration of the Browns, and I call it Browns 2.0, up against older brother, which is my team. So you have to wonder, what happened? Well, its demise started last season. 3 weeks before the Browns got demolished by the Texans, they dominated them in a game that wasn't close. So many were shocked when the Browns, who I labeled as a Super Bowl contender that year, oh, how foolish of me to say that were demolished by the Texans in return. They were expected to continue on with playoff bursts for years to come. Instead, 14-loss season. At first, it was close, but they continued to get bad. While he's a player's coach, he had the locker room earning the respect of the players. The Haslam's know the team are going to have to take their time in order to be competing for the playoffs annually. But here's one of those factors. Offense, which is supposed to be Stefanski's strength,
Right.
not nowhere to be found over the later years of his tenure. They started 14, or was it 12? Whatever the number is, they started either 12 or 14 different quarterbacks since the start of 2023. To go out the list of names: Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, P.J. Walker, Jeff Driscoll, Joe Flacco, Watson again, Jameis Winston, DTR, Bailey Zappi, Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and now the 12th one, Shador Sanders.
Oh, my God.
That's 3 NFL records with this QB situation. Tied the 1987 Patriots by starting the most QBs in a single season, set the record for the most starting QBs in 2 years, and used 22 different starting lineups on offense in this season alone, which is a new record. How else are you surprised by this double-digit loss season? A unit that was supposed to be Stefanski's strength was the downfall of this team. How else would you expect this? Yes, Myles Garrett got the sack record. Well, that's a nice consolation prize and all, 23 sacks in there. Well, it would have been better if he were traded to another team last offseason, which he should have. Instead, he and the Browns agreed to that contract extension.
He did, yeah.
So this is more of a half you-know-what congratulations on my part because of this. So take it as you will. The Browns had no choice. They had to do the obvious.
Now, where do you think the Browns go for the next head coaching search? Where do you think they go?
An offensive coach is who they need to get for their next head coach. Because if they want to focus on how they fare with either one of these rookie QBs, whether it be Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, offensive coach is the way. Whoever they go with, who knows? But I've been looking at some of the intriguing candidates like Quint Kubiak, who could be one of the top ones. I could also be looking at, we'll have to wait and see, because Kubiak is the one that comes out the top of my head. Cliff Kingsbury's not coming back to Washington. David Blau is the Commander's new offensive coordinator. They promoted him. So Kingsbury could be there. He's not going to be taking you over the top, but he could help you. The thing is, will the air raid offense help out?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that, I guess they're going with Shador, I guess, next year as their starter. And I guess at this point you have to, even though I'm not a fan of Shador Sanders, believe me. And Kevin and I know another person who's not a fan of Shador Sanders that's not on this panel, but
Yeah, we know you're not fans of Shedeur Sanders, but fans were screaming sabotage when Stefanski benched him for a 2-point conversion. And your
Seriously.
quarterback under center for the 2-point conversion was Quinshon Judkins,
Oh my
a
god.
running back. What are you doing?
Who ran the wrong way?
Oh, it reminded me of them. I mean, come on, dude.
This is such a joke.
Stefanski might as well be running the wrong way, too, with Judkins, John.
Oh my god, this is such a joke. I could laugh about the Browns for a long time. Anyway, we're going to get into the next head coaching firing. This comes out of Viva Las Vegas. Pete Carroll was fired after 1 year with the Raiders. Man is 74, 75 years old. But real quick, before we actually get into Kevin's perspective on why he thought Pete Carroll was fired, I want to get into something that a panelist said last week about Pete Carroll.
But I don't think he's done.
He's not done. And the audio was cut off. Kev, what went wrong? I'm sorry, John. We love you here, but I had to put that clip up. What went wrong, Kev?
I mean, everything. I feel like the Raiders were cashing in on Pete Carroll's experience and like how good he was as the head coach of the Seahawks for the longest time, and they were hoping to maybe recapture that magic again. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case with the team that Pete Carroll had to work with. I mean, the Raiders just were not a good team with Geno Smith this year running this type of offense. I mean, like Max Crosby has been good, and then Ashton Genty has been disappointing in his rookie season. The offensive line is terrible. The defense is garbage. And like I feel like Pete Carroll didn't really have much to work with. And this is not new that the Raiders have gotten like a one and done coach. And this new iteration just so happens to be Pete Carroll. They had Antonio Pierce last year for only 1 year. And you know, the other coaches they had John Gruden for a little while.
Josh McDaniels.
And they really just don't really commit long-term to their head coaches whenever they do bring them in. So I'm not surprised that they did one and done again with Pete Carroll. I don't think it's entirely his fault. I mean, look at the team that he's got. I mean, I feel like even if you put like a Hall of Fame coach in there, even if you put Andy Reid there, I don't think it could save the Raiders, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think this was just a case of like the Raiders like, okay, we tried this. Let's quickly move on and quickly pivot. We're going to get Mendoza in the draft. Let's see which coach looks enticing enough to see if he can work with a young quarterback like that and hopefully get this team going. So I think that's just a case of the Raiders and their ability to quickly move on rather than Pete Carroll's faults.
That's fair to say. I think go ahead, Al.
Yep. There's only one word to describe it. Placeholder. The only reason he's hired
Yeah,
is because that guy that Tom Brady wanted, which was Ben Johnson, went to Chicago.
Right. And the Raiders, I can tell you this right now, Mark Davis is nothing like his father. The late, great Al Davis, who stuck with coaches for as long as he possibly could. Now, Al Davis was never known as the easiest going guy ever, but he did have patience. Mark Davis does not have patience. And I think that's where it all stems. Now, Tom Brady of it all, I mean, obviously he has high expectations for this Raiders. He has part ownership stock in the Raiders, and I think that he wants this to work out. I think he tried to bring in the big name hire that the Davis family typically loves to do. But I think Pete Carroll was just – I just think, like Alan said, I don't think he could handle it. And I think age definitely played a factor. Like I said, when you lose your energy at that age, all the losses pile up. It's going to be hard. John?
Well, since my Browns fresh brine are fried, I've loved sinking my teeth into cap numbers, and I've actually started writing front office reports on where the cap money is, where dead cap money is, the top 5 paid players under contract, how long the contracts are, just an overall like a review card of where a team is at before free agency and the draft starts. And so this has been really fun for me. The first one I did was on the Raiders.
Okay.
Since John Gruden got let go and that controversy, the Raiders are still paying 4 head coaches that have since come and gone. So I think Pete Carroll was basically a scapegoat for how bad the talent was on the Raiders team this season. And one of the reasons that I said that he was probably going to stick around was the magic that Pete has with rookie quarterbacks. I think he would have been a great mentor to Fernando Mendoza. And as you know, I saw at the beginning of the season him jumping on players and doing pile drive moves. So I think the energy was still there. But the team wants a new quarterback and they want a new coach, and then they kind of want to just make a fresh start, and then that's what I can see. But this is a team that has one of the most cap rooms in the league, and what they do in free agency and how they draft is going to determine what kind of change, what kind of pivot this is going to be for this franchise.
That's a good way to put it. I listen, I get it with Pete Carroll. I mean, it's a shame what happened. You want to see a guy like that do well. Former Super Bowl champion, has a shot with a lot of teams. But the cap hit, I think that's one thing that Mark Davis doesn't really understand. Now, one of the coaches they're still paying is Rich Bisaccia, correct?
Yeah, it's I think it's Josh Daniels, Pete Carroll, Antonio Pierce, and the one that you just mentioned,
Rich Bisaccia. Wow.
Bisaccia, yeah.
And Bisaccia didn't even coach a full season.
He was the interim in that year of chaos for the Raiders, 21.
That's
I forgot
crazy.
about him.
That's actually crazy. So, Kev, if you're the Raiders, you need a new head coach. Where do you go?
I mean, there's a lot of intriguing options out there. I mean, like I think John and Alex said it. I think you really need to have an offensive mind in here to come into this forefront. I mean, like Cliff Kingsbury is available out there,
Yeah.
or if you want to go defensive minded, you have Jeff Hafley out there and Todd Monken possibly. There's and of course the big name candidates, Harbaugh, Stefanski, or even Mike McCarthy. I feel like one of those guys could work for them. It'll be interesting. I feel like I don't know if he's on anybody's correlation link, but I think Todd Monken I think would be a great addition for the Raiders. I think that what he did with Baltimore, I think could really help the Raiders out, especially offensively, because they struggle to score, not just their defense. I think you need to pair Monken with a good defensive coordinator.
True.
Or if you want to go a little bit of a younger route, you can go Mike McDaniel, who's a great offensive coordinator. I mean, he struggled really as the Dolphins head coach, but maybe he can bring some of that offensive knowledge to the Raiders. I don't know, but I think those are just a few names that could slip into the cracks, but we'll see what happens.
All right. So now we have 3 more head coaching firings to go before we get into our NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge, and we have a Devil's rant to get into too. Not to mention. So the next head coaching firing, the Arizona Cardinals fired head coach Jonathan Gannon after 2 seasons. It never quite worked out with Kyler Murray, a defensive-minded coach that was with the Indianapolis Colts beforehand. And the defense was a big issue in Arizona when he came in. He said he was going to fix it. It did not get fixed. And Arizona looked really competitive for the most part the previous year. And then this year, things just kind of fell apart with Kyler Murray. They tried to pivot with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. That didn't really work out too well. And again, Arizona's defense didn't work. So I'm going to come to Alec for this one. Besides the defense still being a problem and the Kyler Murray fallout, what else went wrong with Jonathan Gannon in Arizona?
His undoing was the Titans debacle. When you after that game, it's revealed he looked at a coach that just didn't care anymore. Whatever culture he tried to build, destroy. When you look at the interviews after that debacle between him and the offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, you look at guys who have no idea what they're even doing. Now there's more of a reason to believe why Eagles fans celebrate him going out of Philadelphia, and it's not because of the Super Bowl. He just couldn't build a culture around it, Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
He made me eat my own words, deep and digest it down my own esophagus about my prediction before the season. Now I'm eating crow. Thanks a lot, Cardinals. Now, Monty Ossenfort could have been another Black Monday sacrifice, but he's staying put. The team was going in the wrong direction, and they're being bled dry. Look back at last year. They were first through their bye week last season.
Yeah.
And after that, they completely fell apart. Now, they focused more on defense during free agency and the draft because defense, they were more getting bled dry like a pig over there. Offensively, not much is being done. wide receiver one that looks more like Michael Wilson by the coming day.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray may be on his way out, and it looks like they're going with a new quarterback. Who knows who they're going to take? But there's a reason why they're stuck in mud now. Thanks a lot, Cardinals. Thanks for making me eat crow.
Now, what do you think they do as far as head coach?
I don't know. There's just no clear direction with this team, and I don't know who they go with their first round pick. In one of my mock drafts, I had them trading Kyler Murray and picking Dante Moore with their first round pick that they're going to use. But I just don't know at this point. What do you even do? Your question is your guess is as good as mine, Matt.
Yeah, it's now one thing I want to mention: the Arizona Cardinals have not had a head coach go longer than 6 seasons. Now, Alec might know the answer to this question. He knows the person. Who was the longest tenured Arizona head Cardinals head coach ever?
Bruce Arians?
No.
Bruce Arians.
He's no stranger to Pittsburgh.
So wait, Ken Wisenhunt, was it?
Correct. Yes, Ken Wisenhunt is the longest tenured Arizona Cardinals head coach. 6 years.
Okay, when you mentioned Pittsburgh, that's when it clicked.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, now the last two firings are something that did not come on Black Monday, but they did come as somewhat of a surprise. Well, one came as a huge surprise, and then one was not really much of a surprise. We're going to go to Baltimore, and I'm going to go to Kevin for this. John Harbaugh out as Ravens head coach after 18 seasons. The guy's won 60% of his games, most road playoff victories as head coach in NFL history with 8. Former Super Bowl champion, helped Lamar Jackson become a 2-time NFL MVP. Orchestrated a pretty good offense. Todd Monken did everything he could. Although part of the reason why John Harbaugh got fired is because he didn't want to can Todd Monken. Now it looks like that comes back to haunt him. But what happened in Baltimore? What were they thinking when they made this move?
I have no clue, Matt. I mean, when you think of coaches that all they do is win, I think of two that come to mind instantly: Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh.
Yeah,
they consistently that they do is win. Maybe it's not the prettiest, and they don't necessarily perform well in the playoffs. But in terms of pure straight winning in regular season, those two guys are the best that you could possibly ask for. And I feel like the ownership for the Ravens only fired him because they just felt like that it was time. Like, he's been here for almost 2 decades now, and he haven't won a Super Bowl since 2012, and that was when Joe Flacco was still a quarterback. And again, it's just like and people will blame the firing, like, oh, he got fired because he has Lamar Jackson, he has Derrick Henry, he has all his talent, can't win a Super Bowl. Listen, that loss against the Steelers was not his fault. It was Tyler Loop's fault for missing the field goal. So now you're going to be blaming John Harbaugh for that loss and crucify him, and then he's going to let him walk. Who the heck are you going to bring back in there to replace a guy like that? I mean, I feel like next to the Giants, the Ravens head coaching vacancy is definitely the most intriguing for sure, and the most attractive. I mean, you got a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's an MVP. You got a good running back in Derrick Henry, who's I think is a Hall of Famer already at this point. You got good wide receiver targets. You got a good defense in there, and a lot of pieces to work. And keep in mind, they look at all of the playoff losses that they blame John Harbaugh for. The last 4 times that the Ravens have lost the playoff game, it came down to just stupid plays. Zay Flowers fumbling in the end zone shouldn't have happened. Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point tying conversion, fumbling at the end zone, and then the other team scores a touchdown off of it. What else? Letting the Bengals kill you in that one game, letting Derrick Henry, who is now your running back, destroy you when he was with the Titans still. I mean, that's not John Harbaugh's fault. It's just unluckiness after unluckiness. It's just not closing out games when you have to and need to. John Harbaugh at least got you there plenty of times and chances. It's just that the team could not perform and execute on the field. So, and this latest iteration is Tyler Loop's missed kick. Put a rookie kicker out there, and I get that maybe you could have had time to run one more play, like a run play, get it closer, then call the timeout. I get that, but at the same You cannot be pinning the whole loss on John Harbaugh. Keep in mind, Lamar Jackson got hurt this year, and the Ravens still were put into a position to win the AFC North. That's good coaching by John Harbaugh. So I have no clue why they decided to fire him based off that. It's not really justified, in my opinion. Again, the only reason I can think of is that I think he's like, okay, let's try to bring a younger guy in here. Let's try to have a guy who can deal with like young quarterbacks. You know, I feel like that's the kind of route that they want to go with. But when you give up a guy like John Harbaugh, I mean, it's no surprise why like half hour after he became available, like what, 7 teams like we're blowing up his agent's
7 teams
phone,
called him
and for good
45 minutes after he
reason.
got
So
fired.
like yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's way unjustified that they ever fired Harbaugh.
Now, do they have like a certain replacement that you think they could put in, like a Stefanski? Where do you think they go with this?
I mean, Stefanski is interesting. I know they interviewed Matt Nagy. He's gotten a few head coaching interest in there. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if Clint Kubiak can maybe be good. Chris Shula maybe. I feel like they want to go for one of the younger guys like in there to try to like, who is a good guy that develops young quarterbacks? I feel like that's the guy like where they trust the most, whether it be one of those guys or what have you. That's the guy who they go with.
Okay, that's fair assessment. Go ahead.
Anthony Weaver.
That's a. I guess so. I guess so. Now we have one more firing that we got to get into, and then we got to go into break. And this is all for John. The Miami Dolphins put an end to the snack that smiles back, and Kevin knows where that reference comes from. Mike McDaniel fired as Dolphins head coach after 4 years, and if you want me to list the amount of things he does wrong, it's like a novel. Handling the Tua concussion protocol badly, not running the offense well without Tua, terrible press conferences, and also just inconsistency and like not being consistent with your offense, like using your offensive weapons badly without like, you know how they have a next man up mentality when a guy goes down? Mike McDaniel doesn't know the definition of next man up mentality. And I can just say this because I had like a couple Dolphins players in fantasy. That's just me being biased, but that's one of the reasons for my Mike McDaniel's comment. Okay, fine. That's why I was mad. But it just seemed like he was all over the place. I think the one thing that stood out to me was that Pittsburgh Steelers Monday Night Football game where they knew they were going to lose and they just slowed down the pace, and then it was just like sluggish the rest of the way. And then they score a touchdown, and then they get the ball back, and then they speed up the pace. And Troy Aikman, who's now partially affiliated with the Miami Dolphins, said on commentary during that game, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. What are they doing? And it's just like the lack of incompetence. He looks burned out. He looks defeated. And I think the end had to be near. But now he's getting offensive coordinator job openings. John, what went wrong with Mike McDaniel besides everything I just mentioned?
You mean other than the boutique Coke and hang on, let me put my capris on and try to figure this out. One of Mike McDaniel's problems is he came with a label of being a genius, and then he ended up having to deal with player personnel like Tyreek Hill, who was just an unending drama factory. Tua getting hurt over and over, concussions.
Yep.
The Dolphins had a taste of what they could be when they beat Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago, right? There's definitely a team to build around. People are talking about this franchise like they're going to have to go through a complete rebuild. And, I see talent. I see potential. Jordan Brooks was a Seahawk. I still have his jersey when he was a linebacker standing next to, I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, there's Achan Gordon. There's good there. They definitely need a quarterback. They're upside down on Tua. So I don't know how they're going to figure that out. The dead cap money on Tua is ridiculous. But
$54 million, right?
it feels like they're starting over with a quarterback and probably going to draft one. So for me it was just a mess all over the place. And I think McDaniel got lost in the plot and tried to genius his way out of something, and that's why, when he was standing in front of a microphone after the game and do press conferences, his answers were really short and assholey, and his entire frazzled look really made it look like he was drugged out of his mind after every game.
Yes.
And I just think he lost the locker room. I think he lost. What's fascinating was 3 days before Black Monday, everybody was saying that he was going to be part of the process in hiring a new GM. And when Greer got fired, all of us were saying, "Why did you fire Greer and not Mike?"
Right.
So I feel like the Dolphins did that backwards. If they had cut ties with McDaniel and ended it halfway through the season, they probably could have started the turnaround a lot sooner. But now it's a new year, and they're rebuilding from scratch, including a new general manager and a new head coach and probably a new quarterback.
Yeah, they basically are going to clean sweep everything. That's basically what they're going through. Now, what do you think Miami's answer at head coach will be? Now, again, Troy Aikman might be giving them a little bit of an assist here, but what do you think Miami does as head coach?
Well, they hired the general manager today. They hired from within, and they gave somebody a promotion. And so that's taken care of. When I look around at what's available, I don't see a lot that is attractive. If you're one of these coaches, is Miami an attractive job? So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of arranged marriage we end up having in Miami. Somebody who is going to be able to salvage the team as far as the locker room goes, and then also be able to work with the new general manager to actually pull off free agency and a draft to put talent on this team that it needs. So that'll be really interesting because you're throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks, and you're doing it really, really quick. Between it's less than, I think we're at 95 days to the draft right now.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's what the Raiders did last year with Pete Carroll. And now the Dolphins are doing it. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in this process, at least for 2026 in Miami.
No, it's going to be a rough go around, and a clean sweep is hard, but Miami has a lot of work to do. That's for sure. All right, we have a Devils rant that we got to get into. We also have to do our NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge and a Fresh Finder Fried. But before we get to that, we got to acknowledge our sponsor. That is DAA Technology Consulting. DAA Technology Consulting has everything you need for your IT infrastructure needs, including OEM third-party maintenance, certified hardware, data center cabling, cleaning services, and more. And for more insight on what DAS can do for you, here's a different clip from Darren Sirianni. Take a listen.
Our mission is to deliver high quality, scalable, and secure data center services that ensure seamless operations for clients across various industries, offering best-in-class data center services all under one roof.
And again, DAS Technology Consulting, thank you for everything you do. And I can tell you one thing, you will not hear that song, Fight Fear Right, anymore this postseason. That's for damn sure. Because Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce's enjoying the sweet life of retirement right now. But welcome to hour number 2 of Foursquare Sports. Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zelickovics, Alex Nava, John Walsh for hour number 2. We got a Devils rant. We got the NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge. And we got a Fresh Founder Fried. And you know what? I mentioned it, and we've been hyping up this the last few days. Let's get into the Devils rant. So, for those of you who aren't aware, the Devils their most recent loss was a 4-1 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. But a couple days before that, they had a despicable 9-0 loss to the New York Islanders. And it's just been going downhill. They've lost 7 of their last 9 games. They got Jack Hughes back, but Jake Allen's been horrible. Luke Hughes had an own goal not too long ago, and it pissed Kevin off to the point where he's at his breaking point. And I know Kevin is not typically in the best mood today, but I think we've made him smile a little bit. Kevin, lay it out there. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on, man. This team started out as one of the best teams in not just the Metropolitan Division, but in the entire NHL. It was them and the Mammoth that were like the best teams like in the league at the time in the beginning. And the month started out good. They got a win on the road against the Mammoth, and then you face Carolina, and that's when the nonsense happens. They lose 3-1 to Carolina. I'm like, I wasn't too mad at that. Because it's Carolina and they're like the cream of the crop in the Metropolitan Division. What I was upset about was that the way that they won that game is because of Luke Hughes. You cannot score not 1, but 2 own goals to lose that game. You cannot do that. Listen, I know that the Devils like extended you long term, like 8 years to appease Jack. You're much more talented older brother. You cannot make that kind of silly mistakes in a high-stakes game against a division rival. That cannot happen. And in that same game, I think it was – oh, no, it wasn't Allen. I'm talking about next game. Next game, if that wasn't bad enough, I'm like, okay, fine. It's like it was against Carolina, whatever. I don't mind it. The next game was 1,000 times worse. Yeah. That Islanders game, listen, I know the Islanders are for real this year, and Matthew Schaefer has provided a spark, but that was probably the worst piece of hockey I've ever seen in my life as a Devils fan. No care, no sense of urgency, no camaraderie, no nothing. 9-0 Islanders. It's listen, you can't blame the Devils for not peppering shots. Because they did. They peppered 45 shots, and Ira Sorokin stopped all of them. A 45-save shutout. That's just great goaltending. There's nothing you could say about that. But what I can say is the absolute garbage goaltending on the other side in the net in Jacob Markstrom. He is god-awful. Alec, do a real quick search for me. When is the NHL trade deadline? Because I am so done with Jacob Markstrom as amongst other players. I'm done with him. I'm done with Jonas Siegenthaler because he has the worst puck control I've ever seen in my life. He cannot handle a puck well. He's only there to block shot. March 6th, thank you. So they've got 2 months, less than 2 months, to fix this team, Tom Fitzgerald, and you're part of the problem too, because Tom Fitzgerald, the absolute gall, approaching players to waive their no trade clause, and then the players didn't get traded, and I feel like that's created a toxic environment in the locker room, much to the dismay of Sheldon Keefe, who, by the way, I'm sorry, I don't know what people saw in Sheldon Keefe. Like, he's coming from a team that does know nothing but failure in the Toronto Maple Leafs for the past like quarter century. More than that, he's done nothing in the playoffs. Yes, he's done good with the regular season with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but you replace a guy. We had Lindy Ruff in here like a couple seasons ago, and he got us to the playoffs. He got us past the first round, even though we lost to Carolina second round. At least we got there. And we have more success with Lindy Ruff. Look at what Lindy Ruff is doing with the Buffalo Sabres. They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. And we get rid of that for Sheldon Keefe, a guy who's known nothing but lose in the playoffs. And this team right now is just discombobulated. And like he's like, oh, Devils fans like naive like me, where we're like, oh, we're losing. It's because if only we had Jack Hughes healthy, if only we had Brett Pesce healthy. Guess what? We got both those guys back healthy, and we're still losing 6 ways to Sunday in the worst way you can possibly imagine. And get this, I'll give you guys one guess. There's a total of 2 guys on this roster that have a positive plus-minus rating. Can you guess which 2? I guarantee you won't get them.
Okay, I want you to go
one
first.
guess. Two guys.
So
plus minus positive.
on the Devils,
Yes.
if I can guess, it's Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes.
Wrong. Guess again.
Oh, there you got
Matt,
you got me.
guesses?
Oh, so
Let me tell you who it is. I'll just nope. Let me just spoil it for you. Dawson Mercer. Okay, he's great. I love Dawson Mercer. And the second one is Shimon Nemitz. Shimon Nemitz.
Yeah.
A kid that has barely scored at all this year, and he's got the only one that did score when Jack Hughes was hurt, and now he's back in the lineup as soon as yesterday. That Pittsburgh Penguins game did nothing. It didn't provide any spark, provided nothing. Every single Devils player has a negative plus-minus ratio, including Jack Hughes. And last night's game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, it was awful, the same thing. And like Nico Hischier, after that god-awful loss against the Islanders, was saying, I'm expecting myself to have a big response game in Pittsburgh, and I'm expecting my team to have the same thing. Didn't do a damn thing against the Pittsburgh Penguins, losing 4-1. It was 2-0, quicker than you can blink. Like after the first period, not even close. Like Jake Allen is a little bit better than Markstrom, but he's so far fallen off. This team is so slow. They always, whenever they pass it, it's too hard of a pass, and they have no ebb and flow going for them. It's just dumb. And I know we got Dadonov coming, but what's the point? Like, what spark is this guy going to bring that other guys haven't already? Timo Meyer's not scoring. Jack is back and he's not scoring. Nico Hischier, the captain's not scoring. Nobody is scoring. Funny enough, we did score once last night, and guess who it was? Luke Hughes. Yay! Yeah, that made up for your 2 own goals, right, in the past 2 games ago. The Devils are in a downwards trend, and listen, the next, and let me just pull up a bad stat. That game against the Islanders, Jacob Markstrom is confirmed the worst goalie performance of the modern stats area dating back to 2007.
Wow.
And when you look at the time on ice, Jacob Markstrom spent the whole entire time on the ice. I am shocked that Sheldon Keefe didn't pull him after it was 3-0. Why are you keeping Markstrom in there in the game first off? His expected goals against was 1.433. His actual goals against was 9, and his goals saved above expected was negative 7.57. That is putrid and terrible. And his rankings, like in terms of goalies, they're about like 60 to 80 goalies, like in the entire NHL. Jacob Markstrom is near in the late 50s in terms of ranking. He's our starting goalie. Our backup goalie is better than you, Jake Allen. And I'd rather have Nico Dawes, like being called up from AHL Utica up here, over Jacob Markstrom. I'm tired of him. Team Sweden, like if they were smart enough, that they would can Jacob Markstrom's ass, cut him from the roster, because you're not going to win a game with him if he's your goaltender. You're not even going to get a medal. It's terrible. And guess who the next team they verse is? The Winnipeg Jets, which you can argue are even worse than the Devils right now. And when they won a President's Trophy last year, they're currently the worst team in the league. I disagree. I think it's the Devils by far. And the Winnipeg Jets have lost 11 games in a row. But I guarantee you that the Devils will find a way to lose that game too, because there is no sense of urgency, no care, no fire, no nothing. Everyone seems gassed and like nails it in after like they give up the first 2 goals. We give up the first goal every single time, and every opposing goalie every game, it seems like the second coming of Martin Brodeur and Patrick Waugh. It's literally ludicrous. They cannot score to save their life. I don't know if it's like a mental thing. I don't know if it's like Jacob Markstrom has something going on, but he needs to be benched. Same with Luke Hughes. Get your head out of your ass, or I'll start sticking further up there for you if you're not going to perform the way that we paid you to do. Because you're a starting goaltender, and these are the New Jersey Devils. Tom Fitzgerald is to blame. Sheldon Keefe is to blame, and Jacob Markstrom, the entire team camaraderie is to blame. Who is going to lit the fire under this team's butt? Is it Jack Hughes? Is it Nico Hischier? Who the heck is it going to be? Because I have no clue who it's going to be right now. And if they don't win against the Jets, I'm not watching another game anymore. I pay my hard-earned money on ESPN Plus to watch all the Devils games. If this continues the way it's going to continue, then I'm done. I'm not watching another game again. I know it's only a 3-game losing streak, but it's the way they're losing. If this is indicative of what they're going to be at the rest of the season, they're not even going to be a wild card team. Plain and simple, period. This team is broken beyond repair, and if they don't fix it and patch up the holes in this ship, you're going to sink faster than you can say Devils. I'm done.
That was literally 10 minutes. Oh my God. First off, I've never had, I think the Yankee rant was longer than that, but that was, whew.
It was, yeah.
I'll tell you what. The Devils,
I'm red just like the Devils, my anger.
Literally. But I think Don LaGreca wouldn't have come up with a better rant than that, honest to God. Because Don LaGreca, if you watch him on the Michael K show or when he was on the Michael K show, he had like phenomenal rants, but that probably that topped the cake right there. But no, it's just bad. I mean, the team looks like they have no sense of urgency. The good vibes, the good energy they developed earlier in the year fizzled out badly. And I just feel like careless goaltending. Luke Hughes, I don't know what the hell happened, and he just fizzled out badly. Jack Hughes is not performing after coming back from injury, and you figured that, their star players come back, things would be fixed. They're not even doing anything. They're regressing.
Nope. It's just, I feel like I'm in the movie Groundhog Day. I'm watching the same movie on repeat over and over. It's the same bad movie every game because if they play the same way, they don't change anything. Their approach is the same. Their power play unit is garbage.
Bad.
It was the best in the league to start the year. Their penalty kill is garbage. They can't stay. They can't stay out of the box for far too long. And when they do, they can't kill it. And whenever they do kill it, they score immediately as the power play ends. And they turn the puck over constantly. They turn the puck over like taking candy from a baby. And there's no. They're not completing their forechecks. They're doing things that they weren't doing to start the year. It's a mental thing. I don't know if it was because Tom Fitzgerald failed to get the third Hughes brother in here and the Quinny Hughes when people are saying that's the reason why they're going on this losing streak. I mean, I wanted Quinny Hughes here, but any defenseman is a better defenseman than Jonas Siegenthaler because he's terrible. Dougie Hamilton is a good defenseman, but he's injury prone, past his prime, in my opinion. I want to trade both of those guys away for somebody that can score and defend and can actually have some fight on this team. Because even the younger guys, Gritsuk, Cody Glass, they're showing more urgency than ever before, and they're still not being rewarded for it. Because if we're out shooting opponents every single game and not scoring, then what's the point of continuing to play on and with the mentality that you have? You have to keep fighting until the bell alarm sounds. Like if you just mail it in after the first goal or second goal is surrendered, what confidence are you going to give this team or spark to think that you're going to be just as good as maybe the Flyers per se in this Metropolitan Division? You're not. The Islanders are better. The Flyers are better. The Sabres are better. Have your former coach. You're not going anywhere if you can't fix and change this nonsense. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, fix it now.
And one last thing I want to mention, the Devils are fourth from the bottom in the Eastern Conference. They were number one in the league a long time ago. I don't know how to explain that. I know Alec is the biggest hockey guru of all of us. Can you explain any of this, Alec?
For the Devils' downfall, well, I don't know if it's a mental problem. I don't know if it's an effort problem, but it looks like the players have just quit for whatever reason. You lose Jack Hughes, you're supposed to have next man up go on for you. But the roster is currently constructed is not good enough to even make a deep run. Tom Fitzgerald has backed himself up into a corner. So you're out of options on who to trade for. Top 6 options, you're capped out because of all the questionable contracts that are given out. Dougie Hamilton, Jonathan Kovacevic. Well, some of these injured players, once they're activated, they might not be even activated because they'll go over the cap. Now, what do you even do from this point forward?
So they're in financial hell.
Yeah. You can't even trade for – you don't even have the assets to trade for Quinn Hughes. And that's why you lost out to Minnesota.
Oh, my God. It's just a shame. You want to know it's a shame for Oregon fans? Dante Moore threw a pick 6 on the first play of the game.
Well, they're in the red zone now.
Dang.
Yep. So they're trying to figure it out. But anyway, Kev, catch your breath. I know it's been a long season. I know we're more than halfway through the year already, which is actually crazy. But the NHL trade deadline is March 6th, as Alec put it. And hopefully things turn around and the Devils can make a late run. They are only 6 points or 4 points back of that last wild card spot in the East. But, there's still time. They maybe make a quick turnaround. Usually whenever Kevin makes a rant, things turn around.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Like what we saw with the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. Literally, I remember that. But anyway, let's get into the NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge. I don't know if we're going to be able to do fresh final brackets. I don't want to go over 2 hours. But let's do it, the NFL Playoff Bracket Challenge. So I'm going to explain the rules now. It's a point-based system. You will earn points for getting matchups correct, but you will also earn points for getting the margins correct. Case in point, Eagles by 12. Anyway, you will earn 1 point for getting every wild card matchup correct. You will get 2 points for every division matchup you get correct. You will get 3 points for the conference championships and 5 for the Super Bowl. You will earn points if you get the margins correct. So if I say, for instance, I think the Eagles will beat the 49ers by 10, if that exactly happens, if they win by 10, I get 10 points. If the Eagles beat the 49ers by 11 and I said by 10, I get no points for the margin, but I get points for picking the matchup correctly. And for Super Bowl MVP, I will get 5 points if I get that right. It'll be just the 4 of us. Samuel will send me her bracket whenever she gets a chance. We got to go quick because we got literally 34 minutes left. Because I hate exceeding 2 hours. All right, so I'm going to start off first. And Oregon is in the red zone, like Alex said. So I'm going to start off with chronologically. So I'm going to go with the Rams and Panthers first. I'm going to say the Rams win by 7. I think that even though the Panthers won last time, I think it was a shock. And I think the Rams, even though they were on a downward trend, they should be getting Devontae Adams back and a lot of their other players. I know that Blake Corum and Kyron Williams should be healthy. So I think the Rams win by 7. But I think it will be close. Packers and Bears. I know the Packers are betting favorite in this one. They're a 1.5 favorite. But I'm going to say the Bears win by 3 here. Bills and Jaguars. Bills better win or else things will go bad for Buffalo. They are a favorite in this one. I'll say Buffalo wins by 4. Niners and Eagles. I have the Eagles winning by 9. I have the Eagles winning by 9 over the 49ers. They're banged up and bruised. Chargers and Patriots. This is going to be closer than what most people expect. I'm going to say the Patriots win by 10. And then Texans and Steelers. I'm sorry to say this, Alec. I have the Texans winning by 17 points. So that would mean that I have Buffalo going to Denver, and I would have the Patriots hosting the Texans on the AFC side. On the NFC side, I have the Rams going to Seattle, and then I have the Bears hosting the Eagles. And then for Rams and Seahawks, I have the Seahawks winning by 10. And then Bears and Eagles, I have the Eagles. I hate to say this. I have the Eagles winning by 8. And then I have on the AFC side, Buffalo and Denver. Denver wins by 10. And then the Patriots and Texans. I'm going to say the Texans pull off an upset. I'm going to say they win by 4 in Gillette. And then Texans at Denver. I have the Broncos winning by 14 to win the AFC Championship game. And then the NFC side, Bears and Eagles. I have the Bears winning by 4. I think they beat Philadelphia. And then I think I mentioned Seattle winning by 10 here against the Rams. And then the NFC Championship game, I have Eagles and the Seahawks. John's going to love this. Seahawks by 12 in the NFC Championship game. So then I have my Super Bowl being the Broncos and the Seahawks. John's going to give me a big hug through the screen. Seahawks win by 6. Super Bowl MVP, the one and only Sammy D. So that is my playoff predictions. Now we're going to go to John, since I mentioned that team's going to win. John, your bracket. What do you got? Tough act to follow. John, I think you're muted. Or are you?
You got to mute yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go, John.
Okay.
Can I message it to you before the end of the night? I haven't been able to get past this weekend.
Sure. That's fine. That's fine. It might actually help us out with time, and I'll put it up on our socials, our brackets, so people can see it. Kevin, I'll come to you then.
Okay. We'll do the AFC first. Let's start off with Steelers against Texans. I think both of these teams, again, it's going to be a defensive matchup. Aaron Rodgers does have the more playoff experience. So I do factor that into account. But the Texans defense, I think, is definitely for real this year. I feel like Rodgers has one more good game in him. I'm going to say Steelers win. I'm going to say Steelers win by a touchdown, 7 points.
Okay.
So then now, that would make it Broncos Steelers. So now let's go Jaguars against the Bills.
Wait,
Jaguars,
correction,
I think,
correction.
is the
Correction.
Mhm.
It's reseeding. So if the Bills or the 6 seed or 7 seed win, then that person will go to Denver. It's based on reseeding.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry to cut you off, but
That's right. Okay. So Jaguars, Bills. Jaguars, I feel like are the easy pick because I think they've been the hottest team to end the year this year. I think that Trevor Lawrence, like I said, is really coming into his own, like playing like he did when he was at Clemson. I think adding Jacoby Myers was really good. And keep in mind, they are playing in Jacksonville, and Josh Allen is not the best when it comes to road playoff games. I think he's 0-8, I think, all time in road playoff games. So I wonder if that trend continues. 0-4. There you go. So I wonder if that trend continues. Like I said, if the Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, they never will. So with that in mind, I feel like it's really tough. I'm going to say Bills by 3. Bills by 3. Okay. Jaguars will make it competitive and close, but I say Josh Allen finally breaks out. Next, we got Patriots against the Chargers. I'm picking Chargers straight up. I'm picking Chargers to win by 10 points because, like I said, Patriots have not been battle-tested this season. They've beaten the Bills one time, and that's the only win that they've had against a team that's over 500. The Giants have more wins than that. With 500 teams, they beat 2 teams over 500. So with that being said, I need to see proof that the Patriots can actually win the playoffs. Until that's proven, Justin Herbert I know can and has. So I'm going to say Chargers. So now we're going to go to the NFC. NFC, Rams against the Panthers. I know the Panthers did beat the Rams like when they last faced each other, and the Panthers won by 3. I think it turns out different this time around. I think Matt Stafford and the Rams are going to win this game convincingly. I think they're going to win this game by 24 points in a blowout. So I'll say Rams there. Packers and the Bears. My God, what a rivalry matchup this is. I mean, if you would have asked me who would have won like this like years ago, I would have easily said Packers. But the Bears are like different this year with Ben Johnson at the helm. It's in Chicago, and the Packers could spice things up. I don't know if Jordan Love has it in him to go against a tough Bears team like this. I'm going to say Bears. I think Bears win by 6 points. And now Niners against the Eagles. I'm going Niners here. I think Niners win by 14 points. Keep in mind, the Niners, nobody had them on their radar. I think I was one of the few that actually had the Niners as like a dark horse pick because like they're actually healthy this year. And CMC, Christian McCaffrey, is a full season healthy. Despite the fact that the Niners have had their fair share of injuries, Kyle Shanahan has coached this team as well as he could have had. And he's had Brock Purdy get hurt and Mac Jones being good in Brock Purdy's place. So, and with this Philadelphia Eagles team, not as good as they were last year. They have a lot of flaws, especially offensively. Saquon is not the same as he was, especially from last year. AJ Brown did better like towards the latter half of the season. But Jalen Hurts, like he could throw for like less than 100 yards and his team can still find a way to win simply because of the fact that like he can run the ball and the Philadelphia Eagles defense is really good. Same with the Niners defense though. But I think the Niners, like they have the more playoff experience. So I'm going to say Niners win that game by 14. So now who do I have? I had Rams win.
And I had the Rams win, you had the Bears win, and you had the Rams, Niners, and Bears. Oh my! So that would mean
then it would be Seahawks against Niners, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, Seahawks against the Niners. I'm going to go Seahawks here. I feel like they've had a little bit of a leg up on the Niners here in terms of offense for sure. Their defense, I think, is better even with the injuries and how the Niners have been able to make it work. I still think that the Seahawks could win that game. I say they win that game by let's go 13 points. I'll say that. So now we have got the Bears against the Rams.
Correct.
That's an interesting one because Caleb Williams is really good this year. Ben Johnson has made this team an actual contender. I worry about the defense a little bit for the Bears because I think the Rams have a really good all-around team, even their defense. I mean, I think that the Rams consistently always have a good defense. And again, playoff experience does matter to me in this scenario. So I'm going to pick the Rams to win, but not by much. I feel like Rams win by 3 points. I think Bears do definitely keep it close. So then I have Seahawks, Rams for the NFC Championship. And Seahawks, Rams, they're 1-1 against each other this season. Seahawks won the one meeting and Rams won another meeting. I think this will ultimately come down again to defense. And whose defense do I trust more? I trust the secondary of Seattle more, but I trust the defensive line of the Rams more. The running backs, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet are great. Kyron Williams and Corum are great. I think that's evenly matched there. I think that's so the deciding factor will become the quarterback and the offense. Matt Stafford has been here before. Sam Darnold hasn't. But Sam Darnold has great weapons. But I think Stafford, especially with Devontae Adams coming back, he's got another weapon coming back that he can throw the ball to. I'm going to say Rams. I think Rams win by a field goal, and I think Rams make it to the Super Bowl again with Matt Stafford. So that's my NFC side of the bracket. Now AFC. So now you have the Broncos against the Bills.
Chargers.
Again, Chargers, excuse me. Broncos against the Chargers. I'd say Broncos. I think the Broncos have a better overall team, better defense. Their defense has really got them to where they were. So I'll say Broncos win convincingly. Broncos by 14. So Broncos advance. So now it'll be Bills against the Steelers. Sorry, Alec, but I'm going to pick Bills here. Again, playoff experience does matter, but Josh Allen, he's got to have a run in him like this year. And I think that the Bills win by 10 points. So I'll say Bills. So now it's Broncos against the Bills in the NFC Championship. Again, playoff experience matters, but also defense matters. The Bills, like every time a guy is put on a waiver wire, Bills claim him. And I feel like that's very indicative as to how needy that they really need their defense to be. But the offense is still there. James Cook is a good running back. The Broncos can be shaky at times, and I only believe them because of their defense. Offense, not so much. I'm going to say Bills win this game by 7 points, and Josh Allen finally goes to the Super Bowl. So I think it's Bills versus Rams in the Super Bowl. And again, like I said, if Josh Allen and the Bills don't win this year, they never will. But I don't see them being the Rams. I'm sorry. I think the Rams have been the most battle-tested team, along with the Jaguars. I think this entire season, along with other teams mentioned. But in terms of like battle-tested, the personnel that they have in there, Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford has the Super Bowl experience, and he has playoff experience too. But Josh Allen, he can get over the hump and get there, but I don't think he has what it takes to finish against a tough Rams defense like that. So I say that the Rams win the Super Bowl against the Bills by 6 points.
Okay. I'm assuming MVP Josh Allen? Or Matthew Stafford.
You know what? I'll go Kyron Williams as Super Bowl MVP.
I like that.
A little bit of a curveball there.
I like that. All right, Alec. You're up.
All right, so I'll start with the AFC just like what Kevin did. So Patriots versus Chargers. That's going to be a close matchup. We're talking about a defense, two elite defenses in the NFL, and Drake May and Justin Herbert, two of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. What's going to come down to is the run block, the blocking, the offensive line. Will Campbell's back. That's going to boost the Patriots. The Chargers haven't had their two offensive tackles for the entire season. And I feel they're more destined for next year. The Patriots, however, haven't been truly battle-tested. But I can see the Chargers getting by this game. I'm going to call it by a field goal. They'll win by a field goal at Foxborough in the Patriots' first ever playoff game at Gillette Stadium without Tom Brady.
Oof.
Chargers win by a field goal. I'll go 27-24 on this
Okay.
one. So they go win by 3. Jacksonville versus Buffalo, perhaps the most enticing game of the AFC wildcard side. And Josh Allen is 0-for-4 on the road in the playoffs in his career. 1 loss to Houston his sophomore season, and the other 3 to Kansas City. You may know what they are. 13 seconds, the AFC Championship game, and the drop. Also in the AFC Championship game. That's not mentioning about wide right 2, which was at Buffalo, but we're not talking about that. The Jaguars are arguably the team to beat in the AFC. And then whether that's because of the state of the AFC or because the Jaguars are hot right now is TBD. But in fairness, the Jags are hot. And they are seeing an emergence of their trio between Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., and Parker Washington. Most notably between Myers and Washington, who have really come into their own. They're inconsistent on the ground. But Trevor Lawrence may arguably be a top 3 MVP finalist, in my opinion. And that's saying something about the turnaround that Liam Cohen has produced. They're more battle-tested, while Buffalo has taken advantage of this soft schedule. And without Patrick Mahomes, without Lamar Jackson, without Joe Burrow, this is the highest pressure that Allen is facing in his career in the playoffs. Jacksonville and Buffalo have been evened up in the all-time series between one another. But I see advantage Jacksonville in this one. But I see them winning by 1 point. It's that tough to count out Josh Allen. But I just don't see anything going for the Bills in this one. They're not good defensively, especially on the run. Steelers, Texans, these are 2 mirror images of one another. The Texans are a more talented version of the Steelers who run a different defensive scheme, a 4-3 defense. But at the end of the day, I got to give the edge to the Texans because for us to win, everything has to go right. Aaron Rodgers has to read up and guide this defense. Even modern day defenses, he has to have that Phillip Rivers type of vision. As a player coach, Rodgers is a game manager at this point of his career. And getting DK Metcalf back is a huge boost for contested catches. But I'll pick Houston by a field goal to win this. I'll say along the lines of 16-13. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
Right. For the NFC wildcard side, Chicago and Green Bay. This is more of a year of what could have been for the Packers. What could have been if Micah Parsons didn't tear his ACL?
Yeah.
What could have been if they stayed healthy all throughout the season? Now, Jordan Love did come back from a concussion and rest, but I just don't see enough of the Packers anymore. It's sad, really, because if they were fully healthy, we're seeing this game at Lambeau, not at Soldier Field. But at last, it's going to be the Bears by 17 points. I'm going to say along the lines of 34-17. Green Bay took a massive hit without Micah Parsons.
He did.
Eagles and 49ers. The 49ers can survive a track meet. Problem is the Eagles are not all that interested in track meets. They're more at defensive trench warfare as of now. But an offense of Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, plus with that much talented offensive line, should not be underachieving the way that they should be. It's going to be more ugly than people realize because it's the Eagles in 2025. It's not, but this is not 2023. Nowhere even close to that type of collapse. I'll go Eagles by 13 points to win this one. The 49ers are going to make a push, but the lack of a pass rush without Nick Bosa, Michael Williams, and Fred Warner is ultimately going to be the Niners' downfall. Call it, if Eagles by 13, I'll call it 27-14. Now Panthers and Rams. Well, Panthers, you won the division, but you picked a bad time to hit a brick wall. Now you beat the Rams once, and it will be outright hilarious if it happens again. That said, I'll say the Rams they just pound the Panthers, and the Panthers win the biggest. The Panthers in getting pounded, they're just gonna smile smugly, accomplishing the biggest goal, that is humiliating the Buccaneers. While they lost the battle, they won the war. That said, Rams by 24 in this. Yeah, 38-14. it's going to be that bad of a route. This leads us to the divisional round. Broncos, Chargers. This Chargers team is not the same as they were in the opening weeks when they beat the Broncos. We all thought that the Chargers, Pat, were the best team in the AFC West. Well, here come the Broncos. One score win. Statement victory against the Packers. Then more one-score wins in ugly fashion against the Christological Chiefs. Well, this Broncos team may be cardiac, and people have question marks about them, rightfully so. But this defense will do a generational carry job against a Chargers team that's missing Joe Alt and Rashawn on Slater. It's tight, but it's going to be, you guessed it, yet another one-score win. And it's going to be decided in overtime, 29-23. The same score as the free 16 game against the Steelers. Jaguars, Texans. I said it. Jaguars are the team to beat in the AFC. The Texans are a more talented version of the Steelers, as I said. And will be lovely to see this defense get another victory. Trevor, I think the Jaguars are more well prepared. And this game is in Duval as well. So I'll give the Jags the edge here in another low-scoring bout because that's what the Texans specialize with a lot. It's going to be 19-16. It's going to come down to the battle of the field goal. Literal trench warfare is the definition of this AFC South game. Seahawks-Rams. Rematch of that Week 16 battle. The Rams have the edge in experience. The Seahawks have the edge on defense. Of course, both defenses have a test of strengths. And I agree with Kevin. The Seahawks have the better secondary. The Rams have the better front seven. The edge. It's going to come down to who does more on offense. Matthew Stafford and company have the playmaking weapons. Devontae Adams is coming back. Puka Nacua is as dominant as ever. Kyron Williams is here. Plus, you have a plethora of tight ends that you can trust. You can go Colby Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson, quack, because he went to Oregon. Seattle has their plethora of playmakers as well. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and even Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is my offensive player of the year pick. Cooper Kupp, a former Ram himself. And you also have Rashid Shaheed, who's a speedster. Sam Darnold's going to be under the bright lights, though. The question is, will he deliver? And until I see the evidence of when he can deliver in the postseason bright lights, I'm going with the Rams here. Sorry, John. But I'm leading Rams in this one. But it's not going to be decisive. It's going to be a tight one because Sammy D has turned it on as of late. It's going to be a field goal that's going to decide this game. 30-27. Bears-Eagles. It's going to be a repeat of when the Bears faced the Eagles in the regular season. The Eagles, they are underachieving offensively. And it's going to lead to questions about Kevin Patullo's job security and even Nick Sirianni's. Ben Johnson has done yeoman's work in helping Caleb Williams and company. They love the cardiac ways. If you think your lead is safe with 2 minutes to go and in a one-score game, nope, you are not safe at all. It's 6 wins this year, a single-season record for the Bears when they won while trailing in the final 2 minutes of play. Make this a 7th one, as I'm predicting. Well, I'm going to say Bears win by 4, and they're going to win 31-27. It's a track meet in which the Bears claw out of their way alive. They're not interested in playing games with the Eagles defense or Vic Fangio's defense for that matter. All right, Broncos, Jaguars, AFC Championship game. Nobody could have thought this as an AFC Championship pick this start the year because we're thinking Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, all the same storylines between Patrick, Josh, Lamar. Nope, we get Bo and Trevor. And as shown in Week 16, the Jaguars have what it takes. The Broncos have been surviving off one too many one-score victories that they get a taste of their own medicine here. It's going to be a touchdown victory from the Jaguars on a last-second scoring drive. And the Broncos come up short against a Jaguars defense that they too are battle-tested. Though the Broncos' good blocking scheme on the offensive line may help them here. But Jaguars win 24-17 in the end and go on to Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. Joining them, representing the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams. Experience matters, everyone, and the Rams have the experience. this is just a learning experience for the Bears. They had their run, but you need to know what it's like before you can reach that big game. It's what Jaden Daniels and company were taught last year when they were beat by the the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Now the Super Bowl, Rams and Jaguars. All right. Now, these two, in my opinion, are the two best teams in their conference. One can argue the Seahawks in the NFC, and that's fair. But once again, experience matters. And I'm picking the Rams to win the Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl MVP is going to be Puka Nacua. The final score is going to be 28-24. And if anyone asks, I'm skipping guarantees entirely this year because it's so wide open this year. That's why I am not guaranteeing anything.
Well, you did it last year, Alec, and it worked. So
Yeah.
Remind me to never do it again after what happened.
I'll never forget. It was that very clip that made Alec fall off his chair. It was literally the show before the Super Bowl. Alec guaranteed the Eagles. He fell off his chair of cringe. We had Lily Schumacher on. It was the first time we actually used a clip from a previous episode. Congrats, Alec. You started something.
Well, here we are. Well, appreciate it.
Oh, my God. All right. So Sammy and John are going to send their brackets to me eventually before the 4:30 game kickoff between the Rams and Panthers. But it's time for my favorite segment. We have time for it. Let's do it. It's time for Fresh, Fine, or Fried, my favorite segment on the show. This is the segment where one of us gets a 5-minute take, and at the end of that 5-minute take, the rest of us will rate you on a scale: fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, fried meaning, dude, it'll be, boo, you stink. That will be what you get if you get fried. But anyway, Kevin's on the hot seat this week. He already had his Devil's Rant, and he's got 5 more minutes on the clock. Kevin, are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
Okay, so this one's going to be FFF is going to be a very, very homery because it's going to be about my 3 favorite teams: the Yankees, the Giants, and the Knicks. In that order are my 3 favorite teams, and all 3 of those teams are very disappointing circumstances. The Yankees haven't done anything in this offseason to acquire and improve this team to be any better. The Knicks, they went on a 4-game losing streak and they looked terrible against the Pistons. They got blown out by 31. So not good there, but at least they won their last game against the retirement home Clippers to snap it. And the Giants doing what the Giants do, lose, lose, lose. And they failed for the 2nd straight year to acquire the number 1 pick because they had to get a culture win in there. And Matt, I'm happy for you and that the streak is kept alive for you, but at the cost of the number 1 pick because the Raiders beat the Chiefs the same day. So literally all the Giants had to do was lose and they would have got the number 1 pick. And I get that other teams helped them out. They could have picked the worst at 7, but they're ending up going to pick at 5. So now with all that being said, with the Giants, Knicks, and the Yankees being in precarious situations, they have one chance. They all have a great chance to turn around by doing one thing each. The Yankees, Cody Bellinger and his contract situation, move on from him. You get Kyle Tucker, and you make that team a World Series team. The Knicks, Cat looked awful against the Pistons, and if you're really, really serious about winning a title, you trade for Giannis. Now, I know Giannis recently shut down all the trade talks, and the way it was worded was he himself won't openly say, I want to be traded, but he will tell his agents to do that for him. So if he is traded, he's not going to say it willingly. He wants to. You bring in a guy like Giannis who has a ring, has playoff experience, is a much better defender than Cat is, can hit free throws and defend. You are now a true championship contender and be taken seriously. And now the Giants. You have one of the worst records this year, but now you have a golden opportunity with the head coaching cycle. John Harbaugh is available. Grab him. He loves Jackson Dart. He loves coaching young talent, and he is the top candidate by far in this coaching cycle. The Giants grab him, and John Harbaugh can bring in whatever kind of staff he wants. Then all of a sudden, you look at the Giants next year, they could potentially be a playoff team if all goes well. So with that being said, my 3 favorite teams, are in terrible situations, but all of them coincidentally can do one thing right and go from zero to hero. That's my fresh Fine and Fried.
Wow, in 3 minutes flat. Okay. Alec, fresh Fine and Fried.
Well, to say the least, you might be onto something that if all goes well for the Giants, that they could, and I'm not saying will, they could be a playoff team if everything happens. The state of New York sports has been a bit of conflict. The most impressive team here has been the Knicks, for that matter. They do have a key. They have the core around, and they have a foundation in place. Overall, I'd say it's between fine and fresh, but overall, it's pretty solid.
Okay, John, fresh Fine and Fried.
It's fine. The Giants aren't going to get themselves fixed till Joe Shane's gone. I honestly believe that. So what you're doing at this point is bringing in a Band-Aid coach to go along. It's just a placeholder for one more year while Joe Shane puts together another losing season, unfortunately. The Yankees, I don't get the bitching about the Yankees. The Yankees, they spend one of the franchises that spends the most money, and they're always going to be in the hunt. So what they do in the offseason, does it actually matter? There's a lot of players that moved around, and the Yankees didn't do anything. So I totally get that. The Knicks should be there. The Knicks, should be in the hunt, especially for their division because of the injuries to the other teams that are out there. The last time I looked, the Celtics were playing lights out. So I think it's going to come down to those two teams. Trading for Giannis definitely makes sense. So there were some good points, and there were some points that are just kind of obvious.
Okay, I'm gonna say fresh because yes, Kevin stated the obvious, but it really isn't obvious when you look at these general managers and these managers of these New York sports teams. Literally, we talked about how the Yankees need to learn how to pivot, and they never do. The Knicks, they could win a title if they just clean up certain things. Like if they get Giannis, I think they're going to be really, really good. And they'll probably be like the favorite for the championship for the NBA Finals this year. And then the Giants, everyone's saying the same thing that my friend Laura Antonio said. Everyone's saying if the Giants play their cards right and they stay healthy and they get Malik Neighbors and Cam Scotty back, this team should be good. But it's guilty. I have to see them be healthy first. And I have to see them put an effort in the draft. I have to see that Joe Shane can actually be a competent general manager because right now he hasn't proven that. So what sounds so simple and so obvious is not as simple as you think because common sense doesn't play with these New York teams sometimes. Sometimes they lack common sense. And I hate to say that, but it's true. It's absolutely true. All right. We're going to do this really, really quick because we got to get into but Unfortunately, Sports is partnered with MyCam Solutions Optical Payments. It's a wholesale credit card company in Arizona that can give you great processing rates without signing a long-term contract. Take a listen.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and MyCam Solutions. MyCam Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. MyCam Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? 4 Square Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.